let's talk about Dokidoki hell farming. I know for a lot of us, Dokidoki, especially Health 4, can be a menace to farm and set up properly. And there are a lot of people who are saying certain things, right? Oh yeah, just use Remoka, it will be easy peasy. Some others say, oh, just you have Mio or use Mio, you're good to go. But really, you don't necessarily know what you need to do in detail to get these runs working, and also fairly easily, fairly reliable and fast as well. So guys, in case you do not have a Remoka right now, I'm sorry, this is not a MaTeIRiA showcase, but I'm giving you a but here. Whatever I'm showing you here right now, if you can make your MaTeIRiA strong enough to one-shot wave 1, you can use the exact same strat. Period. That's it. Now let's move on. Now what we're gonna do is we want to use Remoka. Remoka is our main DPS for Dokidoki, and what we need as bare minimum is we need her S3 to be max skilled. If her S3 is not max skilled, she hits like a wet noodle. Just saying, this needs to be maxed out before we can even start talking about anything else. Another unit we are going to use is Freya. Why Freya? Freya provides an attack buff, she provides a debuff, she provides a speed boost, she basically does everything. She has a defense buff, everything in her kit, so that's why we are going to use her as well. We are using Claws, we are also using Kazuya the Reverie, and last but not least, we're gonna bring Mio. And I will also talk about replacement units and stuff you can do if you do not have every single unit I'm showing here right now, so you can replace them. 100% I will see question, or what can I use for Mio, even though I explained it in this video. Now for the setup, let's talk about the setup. And I think the easiest way to look at the setup is let's go into Dokidoki real quick. I restarted it and see the lineup. Then I show you the equipment, because we can look at the equipment in there. We can. Perfect. This is actually perfect, because I think this is the best way to explain how my team works and how your team could be similar to my team, for example, or something else. Now, in terms of speed, if you have this team right now, I explain this team now first, and then we talk about the other stuff. You want to have Mio on the fastest set. You want her like super fast, and you can give her kind of whatever codex. I recommend the Artisan because it provides a defense buff, so it does help with survivability if something goes wrong in general. And the idea is that she starts off, casts her S3, steals the ATB from the enemy, from the opponent, and then boosts our team up, and also applies a 2-turn speed up buff. Does help a lot moving forward. The one shell you probably don't want to use is the Codex one, because we want in wave 2 that she's going to use her S2. Now let's take a look about the order. So I'm going in the order here. Freya is moving next. What is Freya doing? She's going to use her S3, and she has a Codex of Magic equipped. So the basic strategy for wave 1, if you can tell already, is that we are going to, with one rotation, one-shot wave 1 and get into wave 2 and have all our skill frees available again. That is the strategy. That is the plan. That's why Codex of Magic, she is moving next, uses her S3, buffs up the team. So this speed is fine, around plus 117. Then next up we have Claws. So all over 200 is also fine with her. You want to have as much. Actually, I need to kind of change it. Like 94 is too low. To get more accuracy, this is too low. That's why probably sometimes I'm failing. Claws is going next, applies her debuff. And after Claws, Kazuya is moving, applies also her debuff, the slumber, the sleep, everything with that. So you get the maximum debuffs going for your Remoka. As the last unit, we have Remoka moving, doing her S3 and one-shots the entire wave. And then we go into wave 2 and do almost similar things. There are two things also which I should mention right here. So next to that, we need the S3 max skilled. We want to have a Momentum Fury set ideally on her. If you have Onslaught Fury something, you can use it as well, as long as it can one-shot with the splash damage. But I just compared damage, and I feel like Momentum Fury with the count is extremely powerful on her. She does a lot of splash damage. She can deal up to like 90k splash damage is what I saw. So this is like a very strong combination, because the attack is not the highest, but with count we get a very high attack. We get over 4000 attack with that, and we have all the set effects to get like maximum damage output. So this is for the setup here, because there's something we need to set up to make it work as properly as possible. So what you want to do is you want to activate your auto attack auto settings on, and what you want to do is you want to set it to the left and right most targets, because these ones have the lowest HP pool, which gives you the highest chance with your Remoka to kill them, and the splash damage does the rest for you, okay? Next thing, I want tip to make it as reliable as possible. You want to put guard B as your main priority target. Guard B is the right one, and guard A is the left one. And also into wave 2, we're doing the exact same feat. We're doing the Mutagenist B as first target, A as second target, and then to the boss as the main target. So this is the structure we are going to do. The reason why we are doing this is because Dokidoki, sometimes she moves, most of the time she moves, and what I notice is with her AI, she always targets the leftmost unit in her team. In that case, she will always, it would be hilarious if she now targets something else out of nowhere, but she always targets this guy over here. So I switched my order, because she sometimes can also apply like that, buffing the damage buff, stuff like that. So we want to target this guy on the right, because he doesn't receive any buffs, gets debuffed, and then we can one-shot. Now the only problem which arises where inconsistency can come in is if Claws does not reliably land her defense break on this guy. This could be a problem, but if you have enough accuracy and maybe a little bit more investment, I feel like if you can get her to like 150 accuracy and probably as well get her level 3 as free to level 3, you probably have like a very high chance of not failing at all anymore. It is what it is, and I feel like it is reliable enough. Now we're going in and see how the team performs. As I said, Mio going first, then we have Freya doing her thing with her buffs and debuffs. Claus is moving next, applies a defense break. Kazuyo applies also her all the debuffs, so we have maximum momentum stacks right now, and boom, wave 1 is dead. Now we're going into wave 2. Dokidoki does her thing and powers the left one. We are going to freeze. We got only one freeze, but you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. And then we're gonna use Claws, Death Break again, Kazuyo next, and then Remoka moves and uses her as free. Now if you go into that situation, it's basically GG at this point. Now if you can get more damage, you can one-shot it, but just saying, in that situation, this is really where it's at. And there you go, you have a reliable 1 minute Dokidoki team. I let that run a second time while also mentioning some adjustments I made personally. Now for Health 4, you do need a little bit of speed, so you have to farm like Health 3 and stuff like that to get a little bit of extra stuff, or Health 2 even. And also what you need is, you need the stuff from Teramaton first. You need to farm Teramaton because you need your Remoka to hit like a truck. And obviously I completely forgot to mention it, this strategy requires you to be account level 50. You need to be account level 50 because below account level 50 you cannot farm Rengokutsu, which gives you the Codex of Magic. And you need the Codex of Magic to do this specific strat right here, and it is very reliable overall. As you can see, it works. And one thing I adjusted is the Kazuyu speed. So my Kazuyu is now close to like 200 speed. She's like at 190-ish. This is actually very powerful, or makes this run even more reliable, because she had less speed. She had like around, I think, 170-ish before. And actually the enemies who didn't get stunned by Mio with her freeze actually moved before Kazuyo, and they were able to, like, for example, ATP pushback. They were able to like defense break, do some nasty stuff which could make the run fail overall. But now with that extra additional 15 or 20 speed I added to her, she's now reliably moving before they have a chance. So in case Mio does not freeze something, as you can see here in this example, Kazuyu can follow up, CC them in case they are not CC'd. Now this, who knows what's happened, because the one thing only has 3 debuffs. Okay, it worked, was close. I felt like, it could have been difficult now, but you know what, it's fine. You got through that. So the only really thing that could make this run fail is not landing the debuffs at all when you're targeting one of the other, when you're targeting one of the Guardians, for example. Now let's talk about replacement units for this setup. We have 2 different units we can use to replace, for example, Mio in this team. Now, instead of Mio, you can also use Marvel, which I used before Mio. I actually used him yesterday, but it is not as reliable as using Mio, just because of the fact that with Mio, we can actually stun the targets, making like 100% sure that nothing happens. But I feel like with this setup, I think Marvel is also quite fine and could potentially be even better at this point now if I think about it, because as soon as we land the resist buff, there's a higher chance for Claws to land the defense break and everything, and Remoka goes first. I just tried things around. Mio worked better for me, but now with the setup I have right now, maybe Marvel could be better again, but this is what I'm running. The one thing is, you have to keep in mind, if you're going to use Marvel, you need the codex set on him, because all you want from him is his S3. This is what you want from him. Now, and the reason why Mio is theoretically better is because, oh no, it actually makes sense now. Mio is better because she provides that speed buff, and that speed buff helps for your team to move. Like, he has the pushback, which does, like, it's fairly similar, but getting a little bit of steal on the first wave and getting that speed buff is beneficial for the second wave as well. And because you cannot, like Dokidoki, you can't CC. That's why the speed buff helps slightly more than Marvel, but the Marvel works too. I tested it, it works. Now, another replacement could be, if you do not want to use Marvel, for example, you can also use, if you have built her, Chiaki the Echo. Chiaki the Echo would also work for this, specifically if you combine these two together. If you do that, you also, for Chiaki the Echo, you want to have her with a codex piece, with her S3 maxed out, and you want to have Freya moving first. The reason why you want to have Freya moving first is because of her S3, which says if your allies already have an attack up, she provides an Ave Maria. Now, so first of all, she provides you an ATB boost, 20%, which helps, since you do not have a speed buff, to push your Claws, your Kazuyo, and your Remoka to move, so they do not lap you, do something funky. And what the Ave Maria buff is doing, even if they move, the Ave Maria buff protects you from being ATB pushbacked. So that does not ruin, for example, your attack order. That's why you can use that unit as well. Now, where it becomes a little bit difficult for me to give a reliable recommendation is in terms of Claws, because as of right now, we only have like 2 Death Breakers, and it's between Claws and Dyna. Like, the only other replacement I can give you is you gotta have to use Dyna instead of Claws. Then you don't get the speed down debuff and the hack in. But with Dyna, you for sure have a higher damage potential, but you have to see how the debuffs land. That is the other recommendation. Like, you have to use Dyna. If you don't have Claws, you have to use Dyna if you want to go for the defense break. Now, what else could you do? You could also maybe, I wouldn't like recommend it ideally. You could also like replace Freya, for example, with a Valerian. If you do not, actually, this is a good recommendation I just think about, in case you do not have Freya. So this is something. Then you have Chiaki the Echo as ATB boost and attack buff. Kazuyu is a must in that. If Remoka is basically all you have, 100% must. You need some sort of CC somewhere. And then I would highly recommend, if you have to use a lineup like this, then I would just go full bust and nuts, even with Dyna, and just try whatever. Actually, I wouldn't even use then Valerian. If I had to go with a team like this, for example, I would just completely go YOLO, no sustain whatsoever. Let Marvel move first, do the resist debuff, everything. Then Chiaki goes next, buffs up everybody. Dinah does her stuff. Then comes the sleep, then comes Remoka, and this is your highest chance to get through this. But if you do that, you have a higher speed requirement overall. And those are the team setups and tips I can give you. And also, if you feel like sustain or you can live without, you have a more tanky type of team, you can use Valerian as well. But the safest way to actually clear Hell Doki is making sure that when your Remoka moves, that she's going to kill one of the side minions to one-shot waves. This is what makes the run the absolute safest, is as soon as something does not die, now you have like a low percentage chance to actually be successful with that. So that's why I recommend to you guys these certain lineups or these certain units, what you can use, but then you have to use Codex of Magic on all of them with reliable speed, so they are fast enough. And you need one of your main units, let's say a Mio, a Marvel, a Freya, they need to move first before, so they cannot just get their turn and then your time, and then it's your turn where you cannot do anything really, or it's heavily RNG. That's why this is my recommendation to you guys, and I hope this, guys, gives you a better approach on Dokidoki, especially Health 4. And if you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to leave a like and a comment down below, and see you with the next one. Deuces.